While the guys make their modifications, Carrie is creating some feet.
Adam already has made a mold for our steel cap boot experiment in the past, and I'm going to use this because it makes a great skeleton foot.
The skeleton is made from a mix of urethane and fiberglass that dries to a realistic bone-like texture.
Oh, that's a good mold Adam made here. This one fits into here. This one.
Then they're encased in a foot-shaped mold of ballistics gelatin.
Nice.
Her feet are definitely suffering from fallen arches, but they'll do just fine.
Okay, just go stick these in the fridge till we use them.
Now, because we're all dog lovers here at MythBusters, to test the turkeys falling on small pets myth, Carrie is making fake pooches. She covers canine replica skeletons in ballistics medium. This is definitely not a breed recommended for families with small children.
This is not a normal family Christmas for me because the dogs in my family are very cute and snuggly. They're neither drippy nor frightening.
To up the realism, professional still life model Gertrude is helping out.
I'm trying to figure out exactly how the hindquarters look on a dog, and Gertrude's modeling for me because she's almost the same dog.
Maybe not quite the same. She adds some bulging eyeballs.
Yeah, this really doesn't have anything to do with the myth, but it's a flesh-eating zombie dog, so it needs some flesh-eating zombie googly eyes.
So wrong.
I started out making a dog. I love it.
Nice doggy. Grant, you might want to sleep with one eye open tonight.
Oh, you're such a good puppy. Mwah.
Carrie, you don't want to get too attached. Over at M5, it's going to be a gas. Jamie and Adam are finally ready to activate their Rube Goldberg machine, a 100-foot-long holiday miracle with 60 moving parts.
Just to make the point, I wouldn't even walk fast near a lot of this stuff, so nobody breathe on this one, all right? I can see you're really getting into the zen of this thing.
I'm thinking about it with everything I see these days.
Well, it's time to do it. We're all done.
It's the moment of truth. Let's go do it.
Okay.
It's the moment of truth, but how's it all going to work?
Pay close attention because here's exactly what's going to happen. At the top of this cone are 10 bottles of cola. At a prescribed moment, Jamie will yank on this string, releasing a Mento into each of those 10 bottles, which will then spray cola down into this funnel, down into this tube, up to this pair of wires, which will make an electrical contact, which will release this motor, sending this bowling ball spinning down. It'll stop, but the bowling ball will keep on spinning, release itself from the screw, fall down, hit all 10 Santa bowling pins, which will yank on the string, send the skiers down. The skiers going down will yank on this magnet, which will release this soda bottle, sending the party favor going going like this, boom, releasing this Mento all the way down into the basket, releasing this Mento all the way down into this basket. This ball will go down here, tunk, tunk, dunk, release the train, woo woo, all the way around into the present. Boom, the present closes, releases Mento into this bottle of soda, sending this robot, pushing the candle under the string. The candle will burn through the string will release the hammer will hit the stove. The stove, which has roast in it, will release its roast onto this seesaw, onto the dinosaur platform, jiggling this thing, releasing the two little doodads here, which will send this seesaw going this way, releasing a ball into this robot, turning him on. This robot will find his way eventually to this hand, which will boom, turn this switch on, sending the Jacob's ladder like Frankenstein's monster. That will set off this fuse. Boom, setting the cannon off. The cannon will release the pirate's hat. The pirate's hat will turn on the monkeys. The monkeys will go down the ramp, releasing the nut from this nutcracker's mouth, which I just did. Releasing another Mento into this bottle of soda, sending this thing spinning, pulling a string out, which lets this foot kick the broken crutch here, sending Buster crashing into the ground. And that's what's going to happen.
Can a falling frozen turkey do this kind of damage? To find out, the team are about to test the pummel power of frozen fowls with their mechanical homemaker.
Seem about right? Pulling the turkey out of the freezer?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there? You've got to imagine like you're pulling a turkey out of the freezer, so the normal height is around 60 to 69 inches.
A force plate is put in the drop zone.
And that's going to tell us how much energy the dropping turkey is going to impart on your foot.
So, how many people is Mom catering for?
An 18 3/4 pound turkey. This would probably feed, I don't know, a family of 4, 2 if they're really hungry.
It's time to stop talking turkey and drop them.
Yep, good.
In 3, 2, 1. Wow. Okay.
Right in the middle. Woo!
The bird dived like a boulder, but how hard did it hit?
As you can see here, the initial hit is 1,901 newtons. And that is
427.3 pounds.
wow.
Dude, that could break your foot.
Let's find out, shall we? The plate is removed, and Carrie puts her foot down.
This is very, very dangerous.
This time, they position the turkey pointing down. It might do more damage.
3, 2, 1.
That was a perfect shot.
You can feel that.
Ouch! Call your podiatrist pronto. The pointed turkey pounded the foot with more than 770 pounds of bone-crunching force.
Brutal.
That broke the middle of the foot. That's horrible.
That threw the thickest bone right here.
That was pretty thick. That's a strong part.
That was a great shot.
The reduced surface area of the pointed turkey applies more concentrated force to the foot, and therefore ups the ouch factor. With a smackdown that strong, you definitely wouldn't be doing this for a while.
Now we're going to move on to the next step in our myth, which is small pets. And I've made this ballistics gel zombie dog to illustrate our point.
Zombie dog is underfoot of the cook, prime falling scraps position.
Does anybody else feel kind of bad about this? It's kind of cute.
It's not a real dog.
I know, but I'm getting attached.
3, 2, 1.
Did you hear that sound? Did you hear that crack?
Poor little fella. A giant frozen turkey was not the treat he was hoping for. The gang checks the high speed, and it's not pretty.
That is messed up.
Still smiling. Didn't break his spirits.
Legs look like they broke, back caved. Okay, let's move on to the next one because I think it's gonna be worse.
In the name of due diligence, they put another gel pet in the danger zone.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh!
This reminds me of my Christmas.
This drop is a real eye-opener.
Oh, the head snaps around.
His little eye.
Legs snap off, the eye comes out. I was sort of like half stoked, half creeped out.
I'm all creeped out.
Our zombie dogs need urgent medical attention, so the team takes them to a veterinarian to see exactly what kind of injuries they sustained.
I dropped a turkey on my pet dog.
And then we
I
deep
can
fried
tell.
it.
I can tell.
You're just like a regular vet, and so you're probably not used to zombie dogs.
No, I'm not used to zombie dogs at all. But we'll see. We'll take a look. Mind if I hold him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's cute. There you are, little man.
The models are measured and x-rayed just like real dogs would be. Some of the other patients are not amused.
Tasty. Come on. Take a bite.
But no cigar. The reptiles just won't run.
A big part of the problem may very well be that it knows it's not a person.
How can it tell?
Yeah.
Conditions are perfect. Crocs are the most active at this time of the year, and the humid, steamy weather means they shouldn't be sluggish.
No interest whatsoever.
I'm starting to feel extremely defeated. There's a run in my stockings, and there's no crocodile running.
You know what they say about children and animals in the film industry.
You said it, Tori. Animal myths are notoriously difficult to bust. Remember skunk cleaning? Adam and Jamie set out to test a bunch of skunk smell home remedies. Only problem was, they couldn't get a skunk to kick up a stink.
Well, it doesn't work. Can we go now?
Back in Crocodile Alley, the test subjects are refusing to chase Buster's meat legs in a zigzag or any other configuration. Luckily, the Mythbusters have a plan B.
We're actually going to take a quail and put it on my robot here, and this is a battle-ready combat robot. So if, unfortunately, an animal gets a hold of it in its jaws, it is built for combat, so it probably will stand up.
With its cargo of quail in place, Grant's robot sets out on its mission. Looking like the Mars rover, it parks near the edge of a pool, well within striking distance. Grant's poised to hit the accelerator at the first crocodilian quiver. But apparently, this croc doesn't feel like Meals on Wheels.
We're having a hard time getting this crocodile to come to the surface of the water, so I'm going to try to entice it with some quail, and I'm just going to drop it right in front of his nose, or her nose.
Tori ventures close and throws the bird. Nothing. Not a ripple.
I don't think he's coming out the water.
Well, the trainers here say that they're naturally secretive animals, and what's more, they're not stupid.
Yeah, he seems pretty spooked by your robot.
No response to the rig, no response to the robot. You can't say the Mythbusters aren't trying.
You know, those crocodiles seem like they're slow on land, but shooting out of the water, they're lightning.
Well, actually, I've done a little bit more research, and it turns out in almost every crocodile or alligator attack since they've been keeping records, the victim has been in or near the water.
Well, then what are the rules to avoid being chomped?
First, if there are any warning signs, don't go in the water. Second, if you fall into the water, get out as quickly as possible. And third, never ever dangle your legs or arms over the side of the boat.
I think we can handle these rules.
There's only one thing left. Plan C. That's C for crazy. Tori's gonna put his behind on the line and get a croc to chase him instead. Tori, Carrie, and Grant have been wrestling with the myth that crocodiles can't run in a zigzag. So far, they haven't been able to coax a croc into running at all. You know what they say about desperate times and desperate measures.
We've tried everything to get these crocodiles to chase the food, but apparently nothing's working. So we're going to try a different approach. We're going to try to see if we can get them to chase us out of aggression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually suit up with some protective gear, get in there, try to agitate the crocodiles, and see if they'll chase me.
Tori's going out on a limb. Let's just hope all his are still there when it's over.
So let's say one of them does get a hold of my leg. What will you do to break that hold?
I will do everything I can to ease your pain as quickly as possible.
He has a stick.
And this is actually more for
knock me
you.
out with the
Yes,
stick.
exactly. The quicker you lose consciousness, the better off it is for you. Yes.
Tori's legs will be well protected. Unfortunately, the heavy padding will also slow him down.
Wait, the safety protection caused me to fall down. Protective gear is hindering me from running away from the crocodile.
Nevertheless, he's ready for a face-to-face croc confrontation. The Johnston's crocodile is found in Australian waters. It's smaller than the Cuban croc, but fast and fiercely territorial.
So this is the first test, chasing Tori with the Johnston's crocodile.
What do you think's going to happen?
I think you can catch him.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are attempting to beat E1, the well-trained guard dog. They're going to test several techniques to sneak past the four-legged guardian, get into the safe in the center of the compound, and then escape safely with the loot.
So the first tactic I'm going to utilize is diversion. I've got some stakes. I'm going to chuck it in one side of the yard, and then I'm going to try to make a run for it.
I see, and that's supposed to draw the dog's attention away from you.
It always works in the cartoons.
Good luck with that.
Carrie gets into the dog-proof safety suit and then gives it a test run. With Carrie about as mobile as a dog's chew toy, she adapts her heist plan.
I'm not going to be able to throw anything with this. I'm going to get one of the boys to go over to the corner and throw it. That's not cheating. Everybody's got a partner in crime.
Tori gets the plan underway by interesting Ewan in his meaty treat.
Oh, look, he likes. Oh, you looking at it? You like the meat.
I think you guys should probably go for it now, no?
Tori's tasty T-bone taunting has bought Carrie enough time to get to the safe. But then Carrie's accomplice turns nasty as Tori throws the steak into the compound.
Not at me! Not at me!
It's a poor throw, but Ewan stays focused on the meat and starts to chow down as Carrie heads for an unofficial exit on the far side of the compound. But it's locked.
Hurry, he's eating the meat.
Meanwhile, Ewan has finished the first course and goes back to Tori for more. But when Tori doesn't have another steak ready, Ewan goes to work.
Move. Oh. Okay. Call the dog. Get him. Oh, that was great. It totally worked.
Well, kinda. The delicious diversion did distract Ewan long enough to get to the safe and secure the loot. But poor planning meant that Carrie ended up as the main course.
But the necklace is somewhere inside the suit. I swear it's in here. I grabbed it.
So it's plausible to distract a guard dog with tasty treats. But without that suit, Carrie would have been breakfast.
Well done.
Next up, Grant and Tori are tackling two myths which an animal behaviorist and fan of the show suggested. And they're both based on the concept that by using body language, you can persuade the dog to leave you alone. First into the ring is Grant, and the theory is Ewan will take Grant's submissive posture as proof he's not a threat.
Oh my God, this is not working. This is not working.
I don't think it's working.
But it doesn't work. Next, Tori attempts to take alpha dog status by getting aggressive. But his top dog impression simply results in him being the dog's lunch. With the score MythBusters 1, Guard Dog 2, it's back to Adam and Jamie.
So how old is the phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Well, it's pretty old. It originated from some guy named Fitzherbert who wrote a paper on animal husbandry in 1523.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. The dogge must learn it when he is a whelpe, or else it will not be, for it is hard to make an olde dogge to stoop.
Like I said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Okay, so according to you guys, having someone's mouth pressed against the trombone will make it a sealed system. Expanding gases from the explosion will no longer be able to escape through the mouthpiece. They'll have nowhere to go but through that slide. Right, you asked for it. Adam and Jamie are going to take it again from the top.
Look at all those trumpets.
Did you play the trumpet?
No.
Weren't you a bugler in the Civil War?
Once again, the guys go trawling for trombones. Second hand, of course.
They're perfect.
They also need some mouthpieces. And some mutes.
Unfortunately, this is the last note this trombone will ever play.
Trust Adam to turn a trombone into an instrument of torture. Question is, will they still be able to blow their own trumpet when this revisit's done?
Finger in a barrel. I knew we were going to have to revisit this one. That's the one where a gun barrel can explode into a banana peel, just like in the cartoons.
This one's well worth a revisit, if only so we can catch up with our friends, the Mythtoons. They're a gun barrel of laughs. When our familiar foes come face to face, there's plenty of animated animosity. But instead of saying his prayers, our cheeky red-haired rodent forces his finger into the barrel, and the hunter's best-laid plans backfire big time. The Mythbusters tried to get the same result in real life. They took modern rifles and plugged ballistics gel fingers into the barrels. The bullets won, hands down.
Look at the very tip
I'll
of the
be
barrel.
darned.
And while they got one or two bulges in their barrels, nothing could trigger that famous cartoon banana peel.
I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I think we may end up revisiting this one.
Well, Adam, those chickens have now hatched, and they're coming home to roost. Since busting the myth, fans have been firing a volley of suggestions.
First, we should try this. It's an older gun with a Damascus barrel.
And what is that?
Well, up until the 20th century, they were making Damascus barrels, and that's where they would take alternate strips of steel and iron, twist it around a rod, and then weld it together. So it wasn't one piece of metal.
Okay, so let's get that straight. A Damascus barrel was made by taking strips of iron and steel and welding them together. According to fans, those weld points weaken the structure, and if the barrel is blocked, they'll give us our cartoon peel back.
Well, it looks like I need to go dig out the hand molds we used last time.
And I'll work on a remote trigger because if this does indeed work, it could very well explode.
While the guys get to work, let's revisit the science behind this cartoon caper. Pull the trigger of a gun and there's a small explosion. The expanding gases propel the bullet through and out the barrel. Block the barrel, however, and the gas has nowhere to escape. The pressure builds and gun ruptures. Some fans might rupture too when they see what the Mythbusters are going to do with this collector's item.
Boy, you better marry my daughter.
This 10-gauge shotgun had both barrels fashioned Damascus style.
This one was made in 1877, so it's an antique. And we're gonna destroy it.
Grant mounts the shotgun on Jamie's special rifle rig and wires up a remote trigger.
I have a radio control system that transmits a wireless signal to the receiver. The receiver sends a control signal to the servo. It's going to turn the head of the servo, which pulls a string. The string goes around the trigger and is captured on the other side by a hose clamp, and then that fires the gun. 3, 2, 1. There you go.
Meanwhile, you gotta hand it to Carrie. She's got hand making down pat.
So here we have a ballistics gel hand with a skeleton cast inside. It's been sitting up overnight, and the nervous part is over because it came out of the mold and looks all right. Nitroglycerin patch test, 200 joules in 3, 2, 1. I didn't see any explosions. I didn't see any arcing, anything at all.
Nope.
Like I said, this is real life, real results. In this case, an awful lot of nothing.
We didn't get any explosion at 200 joules. Let's ramp it up to 360. Give it the maximum power.
But cranking the power to the max,
No explosion, guys.
even putting the paddles right on the patch,
It arced, it sparked, it didn't ignite. Well, I think one of the problems here is it's just not going to arc to the plastic. It's just not going to do anything there. And there is an old nitroglycerin patch that has sort of an aluminum in the plastic. Maybe that would arc from the spark.
More conductivity would definitely give it a higher likelihood of arcing.
Should be easy to get a couple of those, no?
Actually, Tori, that's a no. Aluminum-backed nitroglycerin patches were phased out in the 1980s. So Carrie's making some of her own.
And this is conductive?
That's what I was going to let you find out for me. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I'm sure that stun gun Tori's using comes with a warning.
That is cool. Look at that.
Something along the lines of, not a toy.
Look at it burning.
Use with caution.
Look, I wrote my name.
Keep out of reach of children.
Oh, Tori, are we going to ever have an episode where you don't hurt yourself?
I didn't think it was going to hurt me. Thought I had that one under control.
Also not under control is the weather.
Oh, great. The water level has risen.
Outside and inside the bunker, the big wet continues.
It doesn't do a lot of good to have rubber mats when they're submerged in water.
A bit of electricity and a lot of moisture. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, try not to stand in the water.
What is it? The first day of rain we get for the entire year is going to be on the day that we're using high explosives and electricity. Woo!
2,000 volts.
Now, does anyone else find this somewhat alarming? raincoats, volumes of voltage, and a welter of water.
Look at it, it's arcing from the screw to the wood.
Okay. Stop.
Tori's on hairdressing duty to keep it dry enough to prevent shorting. Well, that's the theory.
I got water pouring down my back.
Folks, it goes without saying, never, ever, ever try this at home.
Somebody want to get a 2x4 just in case they need to knock us apart?
Perhaps the least lethal thing to happen now would be if Carrie's homemade foil-backed patches exploded.
3, 2, 1. You see a spark or anything?
Nope.
See an explosion?
No.
Just like the modern plastic patches, maximum voltage, foil side up, or foil side down.
No reaction.
Even putting the paddles ridiculously close causes no kaboom.
It arced right over that patch, and I didn't see an explosion.
No explosion.
I don't think that the concentration of the nitroglycerin is high enough to actually get any sort of explosion. I mean, that's it. This myth is going down.
The myth may be going down, but it's not over yet. Because when it comes to the MythBusters and explosions, no one goes home disappointed.
We're gonna blow that nitro patch up.
You bet we are, buddy.
Adam and Jamie are getting wrapped up in their quest to beat speed camera myths.
Can someone unwrap me? Turn off the camera and help me get out of this thing.
So far, it seems there's no way to get one over on the super sensitive speed slayer. But just how responsive are they? It's time to test viewer myth number 3.
You know, I heard once that those speed cameras are so sensitive that they'll pick up a bird flying past them and take a picture of it.
You know, I hate to play devil's advocate on this, but I can't see it working. I think a bird is just too tiny to be picked up by the radar. We should get some trained birds and fly them through the path.
Okay, and maybe a really fast trained bird.
1, make that 2, really fast. Their mission? To fold a piece of paper that's almost the size of a football field. The biggest attempt of its kind in the world.
It's huge.
I don't know if this is gonna be big enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not a piece of seamless paper on the planet big enough, the plan is to get 17 individual rolls and lay them out side by side. Covering 170 by 220 feet, the team will join them together with double-sided tape. Then they'll use whatever methods necessary to try and fold it into a submission.
Basically, you're gonna have to fill this whole area.
Yeah, well, we have 170 feet this way and 220 this way before we get to any equipment. So will that work out for us?
Yeah, it's perfect to scale up an 8.5 by 11 sheet.
This is gonna be a long day.
We have a lot of work.
Then let's roll.
All the way back right to this corner right here.
Right there.
The paper they're using is special order.
This is the thickness of regular office paper, about 3/1000. What we tried to do in the shop where we couldn't get 7 folds was twice as thick as this. And when you're talking about trying to achieve this myth, thickness of the paper is really important.
Going larger and thinner might just give them the edge they need to beat this myth. They position the first roll, give it a push, and they're off.
This is gonna be the biggest piece of paper ever.
1 down. 16 more to go.
Their first 220 feet of scroll has been successfully unrolled. To secure roll number 2, they need
Double-side tape.
inch by inch, they press the sticky stuff along the edge of the paper.
Keep it in line.
Now, this, folks, is an example of highly focused, synchronized taping teamwork in action. Time to truck in roll number 2.
Coming down.
Roll down, tape down. I think we get the concept.
I hear this is good for your back.
The art of paper folding is an intricate and time-consuming pursuit that is also often very rewarding. As they set up for the biggest paper folding attempt in history, our team is having difficulty appreciating this.
Maybe I just lie here and it'll get itself done.
The problem that we have right now is I don't think any of us is realizing exactly the kind of scale we're talking about for this experiment. Essentially, this is a sheet of paper the size of a football field. And just maneuvering that, even seaming it together so it's one piece of paper, is going to be a major, major challenge.
Better put them in lockdown so they can't escape.
So it sounded so much easier on paper.
Back at the pool, Jamie and Adam are testing ways to escape a car that's plunged into the drink. They've already discovered that if you wait for the cabin to fill with water so the differential pressure equalizes and releases its grip on the doors, it could be too late. Now they're going to try out a modified survival technique.
Well, here we are, day 2.
The first maneuver on their cheating death checklist is to try and open the door before the car starts to sink.
I figure for this particular technique to work, you need to do it right the minute you hit the water. If you hesitate, it's all over and you gotta ride it out.
Here we go.
Adam's plan of action is,
I'm just gonna wait until the water gets up to my ankles, and then I'm gonna try and open the door. There we go. Oh man. Oh, that sound is so wrong.
the water rushes in.
Okay, I'm starting to see it on the floor. And it's coming up to my ankles. Now I'm going to try and open the door.
And Adam rushes out.
Surface exit via the door, totally viable. I waited until the water was up to the top of my shoes, and I was still able to push this door open.
The water rises slowly upwards. Next, he's going to wait until it gets to his waist.
Okay, past my shoes, halfway up my shins. All right, now I'm looking at, my God, it's at my knees. I'm not going to be able to open this door. All right, wait.
This one's no pushover. As the water level climbs, so does the amount of pressure. And Adam has to brace himself against the opposite door to force it open. Jamie and Adam are testing the myth that if your car swerves off the road and into a body of water, to get out alive, you have to wait until it's completely submerged and full of water before you can open the door.
So did you know last year, AAA estimated 11,000 vehicles went off the road and into the water, and as a result of those accidents, 300 people died.
Holy cow, that's a lot of people. Yeah. I thought it was more like a freak accident.
No, apparently it's a lot more common than that.
Well, maybe we can help raise awareness a bit as to what these people are facing.
And what better way to raise awareness than to raise themselves in a car into the sky and plunge into a pool?
What the are we doing?
Remember, when Adam goes 13 feet under, he won't be wearing breathing apparatus. The paramedics are on their toes, and Adam has his escape strategy all worked out.
I'm going to try to start opening this door the moment I see the water get above my glass. Now, if the myth is true, I won't be able to open that door until the water level inside the car gets to the same point.
Deep breaths, Adam, deep breaths. It's way too late to put on the brakes.
I couldn't stop now if I wanted to.
As the water rushes in, Adam is getting that sinking feeling.
Oh, man.
The crane chains go slack, and the car is sinking on its own. The 700-pound fake engine is taking it down nose first, exactly as it would in a real situation.
The water's up to my butt now. All right. Okay, it's coming past my waist. Now I can start to see under the water. Oh my God, it's coming up under the windshield. Wow, I can feel the pressure. All right, I only have a couple more breaths here.
Adam's never this quiet. So what's going on down there? The water is leaking in from every open crevice in the car, and Adam is now fully under. He holds his breath, tugs on the door, pushes his whole weight against it, but nothing happens. Finally, he can't hold his breath any longer and signals for Jamie to pass him the regulator. When the pressure ultimately equalizes, he opens the door and swims to the surface. But it was too late.
Woo!
hands! No matter how you slice it. I died. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's put a dampener on things. From the time the water hit Adam's knees to when he surfaced took just 1 minute and 51 seconds. But that's a long time when you're drowning.
The fact is, even though you do go vertical, you don't feel like it because the water's filling the cabin at that point. So you're kind of floating. I held my breath, I don't know, for what felt like 30 seconds, trying to push open that door, using my legs, bracing up inside the cab.
Well, you died.
Yeah, I died.
Jamie's passive observer view was a little eerie.
I'm just sitting there watching the guy drown. He's like just going nuts on that door. He's really using up his oxygen, and it didn't take him that long to run out. You don't want to be in a car when it goes down like that. It's scary.
The bottom line is Adam ran out of air before he could open the door.
That myth is confirmed. I could not open that door until the cab seemed to be full of water for a while.
Yeah, you were giving it all you could, and you just weren't able to do anything with that door until we started to level out. That's the point that you opened the door.
Yeah.
And that was quite a while.
Differential pressure can be such a downer.
What's the myth?
Quite simply, it's that you can extinguish a fire using only the power of a human voice.
You're making that up.
I am not. It actually comes from an early 20th century naturalist named Charles Kellogg, who claimed far and wide that he could put out fires using only his voice.
And didn't he also invent cereal or something?
No, wrong guy.
Charles Kellogg, unlike the cereal guy, was a vocal genius. In the early 1900s, he traveled the states in a hollow redwood tree and wowed audiences with his bird impersonations, which could supposedly put out fires. He claimed he could do this not with his exhaled breath, but with the sound waves themselves. As sound travels through air, it creates pressure waves. These pressure waves can cause air molecules to vibrate, and if they vibrate enough, a flame can apparently be blown out.
Do we have a plan?
Well, I think we have a reasonable plan. Kellogg claimed he could put out a fire with his voice, and he demonstrated it. We should find out how, replicate that demonstration, and see what we get.
Okay.
Okay, so all they've got to do is replicate Kellogg's demonstration. But as the boys delve deeper, they realize it's more complex than that.
From the reading that I've done, it doesn't appear that he's like lighting a fire somewhere and then just singing it out. It seems to be a very specific thing called a sensitive flame.
A sensitive flame is a bit like a Bunsen burner, but thanks to a protective glass tube and a special latex diaphragm, the flame actually reacts to sound waves. It's vastly different from a regular fire, but because this is what Kellogg sang at, the first step for this myth is for Adam to build one of his own.
We got a sensitive flame! There's no way the air from my breath is affecting that flame inside the glass. We've got a sensitive flame.
Yeah! I think it's doing it over here as well.
You can clearly see the flame reacting to Jamie and Adam's voices.
Awesome.
But what exactly is going on?
What I have here are the rudiments of Kellogg's exact experimental setup for using his voice to extinguish fire. It consists of gas feeding into a chamber that has a membrane on it. And the membrane moves in relation to the sound in the room and affects the pressure of the fire. You can see as I'm talking, the fire is moving, and it doesn't have to do with my breath, it has to do with the sound of my voice.
With the so-called sensitive flame fired up, Adam's got a copy of a 1905 gramophone recording of Kellogg singing like a bird.
All right, here's a little history. Oh, his human voice was analyzed and found to be normal under 4,000 hertz. However, his bird voice soared into the inaudible above 14,000 hertz. His voice reputedly had a range of 12 1/2 octaves, while the normal range of a singing voice is just 2 1/2. We will see. Kellogg's bird voice is astonishing. I don't care whether he's whistling or grabbing his neck and doing this or whatever. That it comes out of a person is amazing.
The high-frequency bird voice makes the flame go ballistic, but extinguished it ain't.
That's kind of spooky, actually.
Isn't it? There's a specific, like, bird call of Kellogg's that makes the flame, I think, do the largest sort of differential dance, like bango, 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 like that.
Is he saying red rum?
Despite their lack of success, all is not lost. It's possible that Adam's CD of a recording made over 100 years ago is simply not good enough quality.
I'm going to try to put this flame out using my dog voice.
So to keep testing this myth, the boys must come up with a way of replicating Kellogg's full vocal range before Adam goes barking mad.
No, my dog voice doesn't work.
Look into my eyes. Deeper. You will fall into a deep, deep sleep.
What are you doing?
Trying to hypnotize Grant.
Why?
We're working on hypnosis myths.
Hypnosis has long sparked a spiral of myths about its so-called powers. Myths that are about to get the MythBusters treatment, starting with an all-time classic.
Should we start small or should we go for the whole enchilada all at once?
Well, obviously, eventually we're going to need a truck, but I think we can start right now by going out, catching a bird, building a chamber, and seeing if it weighs the same when the bird is sitting in it as opposed to when the bird is flying in it.
Okay, well, I got some pretty sensitive scales downstairs and I can probably dig up a net somewhere.
Let's do it.
All right.
For this myth to take flight, our dynamic duo have to land some pigeons. And in a scene straight from Hitchcock, the birds appear from nowhere. Pigeon whisperer Adam and accomplice Jamie use a variety of snares, nets, and snacks.
The birds will be too fat to fly.
But their pigeon stalking comes to zero, and they realize they need some help. Enter Kate Martin, pigeon wrangler.
Brought you some pigeons.
Awesome.
Come on, you guys. 2 pigeons in an official pigeon carrier.
Look at that.
Finally, Adam's all pigeoned up and ready to begin small-scale testing. A clear plastic chamber will double up as a truck trailer, and when activated, a vibrating floor will encourage the pigeons to take flight. But this is your gig, Adam. Why don't you take us through it?
I've got my bird flying chamber here. It's got a closed top. The bottom is a screen, which I can vibrate by plugging it into this battery. The whole thing is standing on top of a very sensitive scale. First thing I'm going to do is turn on the scale, which will zero it out. Then I'm going to put the birds in. I'm going to see the birds weigh a certain amount. Then I'm going to turn on the platform, which will vibrate. Hopefully they'll fly around, and we'll see if there's any difference.
So if the myth is true, when the pigeon gets some air, the combined weight of the chamber and bird will come down. Sounds simple.
Fly, fly, that's it, come on, fly. Come on, take off, take off, take off.
Now there's your problem. The bird just ain't flying.
I don't blame him, I mean, because it's not like...
You can barely get a full wingspan in there.
Yeah, you know, he's running into the sides.
Maybe we need to build a bigger chamber.
So plan B is a bigger chamber and better motivation to fly than a vibrating floor. What have you got, Jamie?
My current favorite is thinking about setting up a weed whacker-like affair, and we could put like a half a dozen motors. Right. So that there's just it's just kind of whizzing around. I mean, I can't imagine this would hurt them. I mean, you could, it doesn't hurt you, right?
No.
For our animal-loving viewers, let's be clear. Adam's pain threshold is way below the pigeon's. So if Adam's okay, the bird will be too.
All right, so if you haven't been paying attention, my first attempt at the small-scale pigeon experiment did not work because the chamber was too small and the pigeon didn't want to fly. I have fixed those problems. I believe I'm going to hang this, use a different pigeon annoying technique, and I'm using a bigger tank so he can actually fly around. I feel like calling this guy Jackson for some reason. Now, I have a nephew whose name is Jackson, and I have another nephew whose middle name is Jackson. He doesn't remind me of either of them.
Okay, Jackson, you're up. Now remember, all you got to do is what you were born to do. Fly.
Freaked me out, but it's not doing anything to him.
Come on, come on, come on, Jackson, come on, come on, come on.
That's pigeon for fly. It's also desperate because if they can't get Jackson to take off and stay airborne, this myth is grounded.
Okay, guys, check this out. I found it on the internet.
Whoa.
Is that photoshopped?
Apparently not. And supposedly, the boat hit the channel marker at 25 miles per hour.
Seriously? That's split up the middle, like, what, 15 feet?
17 feet, actually.
Ha! You know what I see in our near future?
Yeah, crashing boats.
Absolutely.
This tall tale of hijinks on the high seas has two halves, literally. We know it happened because it's been well documented, but the myth is in the details. Apparently, in this watery fender bender, the boat bifurcation occurred at 25 miles per hour. Fact? Or has someone got their facts bent out of shape?
So what's the plan?
All right, this is what we do. We rent one of these speedboats, we take some insurance out, and we crash it into a channel marker.
And we tell them we're going 25 miles an hour.
Exactly.